In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit this basic sweater from start all the way up to finish. I've included timestamps in the description so you can easily jump to each section as you follow along. Don't forget to grab the free pattern link in the description and follow along with me. If you'd like to support this channel, you can always grab the PDF pattern that's available of this very crochet sweater. It's completely optional, but your support really helps me keep creating more knitting and crochet patterns. This sweater comes in sizes extra small all the way up to 3 extra large, but it can accommodate larger sizes because, as you can see, it is very much oversized. I consider this a beginner-friendly project. You should be comfortable in casting on, casting off, making one left, making one right, or increasing. So the yarn that I used was a medium weight yarn with 5.5mm needles and 5mm needles for the ribbing. Before you begin, you want to make sure you make a gauge swatch so that you can easily follow along on the sizing of this pattern. On my website, I do include a size chart, so you want to make sure you measure yourself. But remember, this is made to have a lot of positive ease, but still more, following that size chart will help you find the size that you want to make for you. If you don't like the oversized fit and you want something a bit more snug, you can always size down, and you want to make sure you follow that size chart to know which size to make. Otherwise, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and let's get started. On your 5.5mm needles and your 30-inch cables, you're going to cast on the number of stitches that are needed for your size. Row 1 is a setup row, so all we're going to do is purl across. Now for the first row, which is also the right side, you want to make sure you have access to 2 stitch markers. We are going to be repeating 2 rows, so we're going to be increasing in every row. Now what we're looking at is going to be our right side. So the first row will be our right side. And going forward, we're going to be working back and forth with increases as follows. You're going to knit 3. Place a stitch marker. And now you're going to make 1 left. And now you're going to knit all the way to the end until you have 3 stitches left on your needles. And we're going to make 1 right. Once you have your 3 stitches left, make 1 right. Place your stitch marker and knit the last 3. On row 2, so now it's the wrong side, you're going to purl 3. Slide the stitch marker over, and now you're going to make 1 right. And then you're going to purl till you have 3 stitches left on your hook. On your needle, sorry. I thought I was crocheting. Now that you've got 3 stitches left, before you move that stitch marker, you're going to make 1 left. Slide the stitch marker and purl the last 3. And now you're going to repeat these 2 rows for the number of rows that are assigned to your size. Please ignore the sunlight if it's disturbing me. I've just come here to explain what we've done so far. So I have finished the number of rows that I had to increase from my size. And after you're done, we're going to work the same number of rows that we increased, but now we're just working in stockinette. So we're not doing any more increasing on either side and on every row. We're just working the same number of rows minus the increases. So what that's going to do is it's going to stop slanting the shoulder this way. It's just going to start coming straight. So on both sides, they're just going to come down straight. So pause the video, work the number of rows that you need to work for your size. And the next time I see you guys, I will have had, this would have doubled and this would be straight. After you're done working the number of rows in stockinette according to your size, this is what your back should be looking like. So now you're going to cut off the yarn, leave just a bit of a tail just to keep the stitches in place. And then you're going to place the stitches on hold. Now we're going to start working on the front, and we're going to start with the left front. So when you have your work facing you, so the right side is facing you, what you're looking at right here is the right shoulder, and this is the left shoulder. So we're going to start with the left shoulder. And I have changed my cable to a 22-inch, or you could use a 16-inch. And what we're going to do now is pick up stitches from the neck towards the underarm. And we're going to pick up according to the number of stitches or number of rows that you worked. So it's different for everybody. Make sure you're following your pattern to know how many rows you have to pick up. So this is my first stitch right here. And I'm going to grab my yarn and pick that up, leave a bit of a tail. Make sure you're counting, and you just want to pick up every stitch of the row. After you've picked up the stitches for your row, first row would be a setup row. So you're just going to purl across. And what I like to do is I like to purl from the stitch furthest from me so that the stitches don't look bent. After the setup row, we're going to start with row 1, which is the right side, and we're just going to knit across. And after you've knit, you're going to turn and purl across. And you're just going to repeat these 2 rows for the number of rows that are assigned to your size. After you're done working the number of rows that are assigned to your size, we're going to start shaping the neck. So you're going to knit 2. And I just like to place a stitch marker so that I don't forget. And you are going to make 1 right. And then you're going to knit all the way to the end. At the end, you're going to turn and just purl across. Then the next row, you're just going to repeat what we did with the increase row. So we're going to knit 2, make 1 right, and knit to the end. Knit 2, slip your marker, make 1 right, and knit to the end. And you're just going to alternate between these 2 rows until you have shaped or increased the number of stitches that are assigned to your size. After you're done working your left shoulder, make sure that you have ended towards the neck. So after you've done the increase, you're going to finish with a purl row. You're going to cut off some yarn and put the stitches on hold. After you're done, you've got your stitches on the left shoulder on hold. We're going to get started on the right shoulder. So you're going to count from the top down to however many stitches you need to pick up. And I know it's 31 for me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 30, 31. So I need to pick up from here. And I'm going to pick up 31 stitches going towards the neck. Now, the very same way that we were picking up stitches for the left shoulder is the exact same way you're going to pick up stitches for the right shoulder. After you're done picking up your stitches, we're going to start with the setup row. So pretty much what we're doing is exactly what we did for the other side. So with your setup row, go ahead and purl. And remember, I like to go through the back loop so that I have a neat start. So purl across as your setup row, and then I'll meet you again so that we can get started on row 1. So now row 1, we're just going to knit. Row 2, we're going to purl, and we're going to do this back and forth until we've worked that number of rows that's assigned to our size. That would be 14 rows for me. So pause the video and knit and purl, knit and purl, knit and purl until you have worked the number of rows that's required for your size. And then I'll meet you again so that we can start doing the increases together. This time it's different. Since the knit row is starting from the underarm area, we're going to be increasing at the end of the row. So pause the video, knit and stockinette the chunk that's required for your size. And then I'll meet you guys again when we have to start doing the increases for the right side of the neck. After you've worked the chunk that you're supposed to work, we're now going to start with the increased row. And what you're going to do is you're going to knit until you have 2 stitches left at the end. So now that you've got 2 stitches left, what you're going to do is you're going to make 1 left. Place a marker and knit the last 2, just like so. Then you're going to purl, and then on the next knit row, you're going to increase again. You will purl, you will increase again, purl and increase, just like we did the other side, until you have increased the number of rows assigned to the size you're making. After you've made your last increase, you want to make sure you purl again so that we're going to be on this side, and then I'll meet you guys again so that we can now connect the right and the left shoulder. So just to repeat that again, you're going to increase towards the neck, so at the end of your knit row, for the number of rows that you need to do for your size. After you're done, don't forget to work that per row, and then I'll meet you again so that we can now join the front. After you're done with your increases, this is what your work should be looking like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to knit a new row. And all we're doing is knitting. We're not increasing at the end. So knit to the end, and I'll meet you there. After you've reached the end, you are going to cast on a number of stitches, and this is different for all sizes. So I had to cast on 10 for my size. And now I'm just going to take the needle, the other side of the needle, and I'm going to pick up stitches that I dropped. So from the right shoulder, we're going to pick up stitches, the left shoulder, from the left shoulder so that we can knit across. After you've picked up your stitches, you're just going to continue knitting on the other side. So far I just wanted to lay this down and show you what our work is looking like. We have officially joined the front together. So the next row is going to be a purl row, and you're just going to purl across together with the stitches that we cast on and to the end. Then you're going to knit. So next we're just working in stockinette, and you're going to do that back and forth until the number of rows, so from the top all the way down, matches the exact same number of rows that we worked from the top to down here. So follow the written pattern. It's going to tell you how many rows you need to have for the front. And then I'll meet you guys when we are ready to join the front and the back to make one piece. Once you're done with your front, you're just going to remove the one needle from the right side and just secure those stitches. And then I've gone back to my 30-inch cable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up the stitches from the back, and I'm going to start from the left going to the right, because now we're going to start knitting in the round. So after you've picked up the stitches for the back, I'm just going to rejoin my needle to the front. So it's the right shoulder or to the right front. And you're just going to work one more row to here, and then we start to join to the back. So the next row is a knit row. And you're just going to knit from the right front, the left front. After we reach the end, you're going to remove the needle again. So I'm doing this because I don't know where my other needles are, but if you've got a few 5.5 millimeter needles, there's no need to join and remove back and forth. But if you're like me, then hop on. So after I've moved, I'm just going to place that to hold the stitches in place, and then I'm going to join to the back. Now, we're not going to cast on any stitches. All we're doing is knitting. And I'm just going to put under that and continue to knit across the back. And when you get to the other end, you're doing the exact same thing. Just like this, we have joined the left shoulder to the left front to the left back. So I'm going to continue knitting, and I'll meet you at the end so that we can join from the right back to the right front. Now that I've reached the end, you're just going to remove the needle and join to the front, to the right front. So this will be you finishing a round. And what I like to do is to just leave a stitch marker so that I know when I'm finished a round. So I'm just going to grab a stitch marker and place it over the needle on the right side. And continue knitting. So this is us starting a new round. A bit tight. There we go. This is a new round altogether, and just like that, we have joined the front and the back. So from here on, all you're going to do is knit in the round, and this is the fun part because I find when you just knit and you're not purling, it works so much faster. So all you're doing is knitting in the round, and you're going to knit until your sweater measures 2 inches before where you want it to sit. And I say 2 inches or 2.5 inches because I plan on working a 2.5 inch ribbing at the bottom. So if that's what you want, if you want a shorter ribbing, then you want to wear the cardigan or measure it upon yourself and see if it's 2 inches or 2.5 inches just before where you want it to sit. And then after you've knit that much, I'm gonna meet you back so that we can do the ribbing together. After you're done knitting your sweater and you've obtained the length that you want, you're gonna switch to a 5mm needles, and then you're just gonna do it 1 by 1 rib, just like I did. I didn't see the need to come on camera because it's very basic. And if you're knitting a sweater, you definitely know how to switch needles and knit a 1 by 1 rib. So after you're done, you're gonna cast off with your preferred method, and then we're gonna go on to the next part, which while you still have your 5mm needles on your cables, we're just gonna go straight to the collar. When it comes to picking up stitches for the collar, you're going to pick all the stitches for the back, and then for this section as well as this section, you're going to do 2 stitches for every 3 rows. And then when it comes for the neck cast on that we did, we're going to pick up all stitches. So all stitches here, 2 for every 3 rows, all stitches here, and 2 for every 3 rows. So I like to begin from here. So I like to just start from the right neck, and you probably still have a yarn that's sticking out. So I just like to pick up these 2 rows and then all the stitches for the back, and 2 for every 3 rows, all the stitches that we cast on here, and then 2 for every 3 rows. So after you're done picking up, I'm going to meet you again so that we can work our 1 by 1 rib. After you've made your way around picking up all the stitches, I'm going to be using the magic loop to knit around. What all you're doing is knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and I would advise that you leave a stitch marker right here so that you know you've made your way around. So I'm just going to work a total of 5 rows, and the 6th row I'll be casting off for my collar. After you've made your way around, you're going to continue knitting the knits, purling the purls. So remember, I'm only doing this for 5 rounds. If you want to do a folded collar, that's absolutely up to you. I'm not doing that. So go ahead and work your however many rows you want to determine the length of your collar. I'm doing 5. If you're doing if you want to do exactly what I did, then stop on 5 rows. So this is round 2. So I'll meet you after 5 rounds so that we can cast off together. So now that I've reached the end, I've finished five rows. It's now time to start casting off. You can remove your stitch marker, and I'm just going to knit and purl the next one, and then I will lift the previous stitch over the new stitch, just like so. Knit the next one and cast off the previous one. Purl the next one and cast off. And you want to watch your tension as you do this. You don't want it to be too tight, nor do you want it to be too loose. If you don't like this method of casting off, then use whatever method you prefer. go ahead, do this all the way around, and I'll meet you when we're getting started on the sleeves. To get started on the sleeve, you're gonna find the very under the underarm section, and that's where you're gonna join your yarn. So how we pick up is we're gonna pick up 2 stitches for every 3 rows. So I'm gonna count that as 1, 1 and 2. Skip the next one. 1, 2. Skip the next one. 1, 2. Skip the next. 1, 2. Skip the next, and you're doing this all the way around. So do this all the way around, and I'll meet you guys at the end. So after you've made your way around, I'm just going to place a stitch marker, and I'm still going to use the magic loop method. So I'm going to find the top and just put out the cable. And what we're doing is knitting in the round. For all sizes, we're going to knit 20 rounds before we start making our first increase. What I like to do with my stitch marker is I like to knit the first stitch, just fix this. I like to knit the first stitch and then place my stitch marker so that it doesn't move around on the cables, because I find that to be very annoying. And I'm just going to knit all the way around. And I'll meet you guys after 20 rows. So this right here will count as row 1. And after I've knit 20 rows, so all the way around 20 rows, I'll meet you again so that we can do our first row of increase. Okay, actually do 19 rows. So on the 20th row, that's where we're going to be doing our first decrease. So I got carried away and I did a few rows, but I'm still going to show you how we do our decrease. So at the beginning of your row, you're going to knit 1 and then knit 2 stitches together. Oops. So you're knitting 2 together and make sure everything is good. And then you're going to knit all the way around until you have 3 stitches left. When you have 3 stitches left, you're going to SSK, so that's slip, slip, and then knit. So you're going to slip 1 and 2 knitwise, and then you're going to take your left needle and go through those stitches again and knit those 2 together like so. And then you're going to knit. And then you're going to work the number of rows required again before you make your next decrease. And you're going to do that around and around and around until you have the number of stitches, or until your sleeve reaches where you'd like it to reach, keeping in mind that you're going to block it. So I like to just make sure that my sleeve is somewhere around here so that I have about 2 inches of my yarn when it relaxes. I know that for sure it's going to get somewhere down here. But if you want to know how many rows I did 95 rows before I started knitting, before I started making the ribbon. After you're done with your sleeve, you're now just going to move the 5.5mm needles and switch to the 5mm to finalize your ribbon. Now all we're doing is knitting 1 and knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 and purl 1. So we're going to knit 1 and purl 1, knit 1 and purl 1, and we're doing this all the way around for as many rows as you would like. So pause the video and I'll meet you guys once we're done. And after you're done at the end, you're gonna cast off the same way we cast off the body, the ribbing of the body, or whichever method you prefer. And that's it. We are all done with our crochet sweater. I love it so much. The fit is actually quite different. It's more relaxed around my neck than the previous one. And I believe this is because this is a yarn that I had blocked before and then I am reblocking again. But otherwise, honestly, personally, I love everything about this. If you have any questions to do with the pattern or you didn't follow along, I wasn't clear somewhere, you can always ask me in the comment section and I will respond within a day or so. And if you're done with the sweater, please tag me on Instagram. I've got my Instagram handle somewhere on screen. And otherwise, I can't wait to see you guys in my next tutorial. Share this to somebody you know will love it. It is a free pattern. The best you can do for me is to share this to somebody you know will love it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye!